Of Talyan says, Chachamim, he's karo b'divrechem, Shema tehuvos chovos galus, v'sigu l'makom mayim horoim, v'yishtu hatalmidim haboim acharechem umuso, v'nimsa shem shemayim mischalel. Of Talyan says, Chachamim, scholars, wise people, teachers, he says, he's charo b'divrechem, be careful with your words, be careful what you say, be careful what you teach. Shema tehuvo chovos galus, because perhaps you will become obligated in exile. Perhaps you'll have to go into galus. I'll tell you what that means in a second. And the students who follow after you, they will drink from poison waters and they'll die. And the name of heaven will be profaned. It says when you're a teacher, right, what you say matters. Right? When you're a parent, what you say matters. Right? You have talmidim, you have children, you have people who listen to you. And they're structuring their lives, defining their lives, they're following you based on what you say. The first primary story of this is, the story of Adam Arishon. Hashem says to Adam Arishon, don't eat of the tree lest you die. So he passes it on to Chava, says, don't eat of the tree, don't touch the tree lest you'll die. Right? And he didn't say, here's a fence that I'm creating. We saw in the preceding mission, create a fence. He didn't say, here's a fence that I'm creating. In order that we don't come to eat of the tree, we're not going to touch it either. He says, don't eat and don't touch. So Chava, hanging out with the snake says, eating and touching, die, pushes her up against the tree, says, look, you touched, you didn't die. So eating, you won't die either. Adam was not careful to differentiate between what was his words and what was Hashem's words. He took his own idea and taught his own idea as if it were Torah. And when his idea failed, then it was as if the whole Torah failed, right? And that the snake, right, was able to disprove Torah by disproving an idea that was his. Right? If you say kashrut is for health reasons, and someone says, hey, the health reasons don't matter anymore, then they think that they've disproven Torah. If kashrut is for health, and health isn't an issue, I don't need to keep kosher. If you say, you have to be careful, he says, so on the first hand, you have to be careful when you teach. That's why we're very careful. If you ask a Rav, he'll tell you when he's giving you a mitzvah, he's giving you whether it's a doraisa, or whether it's a dorabanan, or whether it's a minchag, or where the idea came from. What's the point of the idea? We want to understand, right? That's why we saw the first Mishnah in Avos, which is Moshe Kibbutz Torah Misinai. The whole thing is you have to understand you always have to understand what the source is, where it's learned down from. Right? We don't accept ideas just because the idea is given to us. So here he says, Chachamim chischar b'divrechem. It says one of the dangers we have with teaching is if you teach something, when he says that you'll come to a place of evil waters, it says if you create your own idea and you teach your own idea, right, that's not always an idea that works. Right? It's an idea that can have holes in it. What you're doing is you're creating an equivalency between Torah and your concept. And now a person can, if they can knock your concept, they feel they've knocked Torah. Right? Much of the loss that we've seen, since the Enlightenment in past generations, are because the people who walked away didn't necessarily walk away from Torah. They walked away from what they had been taught as Torah. You have to be, right? It's a danger that we have with our own kids. You have to be very clear what ideas are real and what ideas are my ideas. What are ideas of the things I'm looking at, trying to figure out how I fit Torah in the world and give it over as if it's Torah. Now someone sees that idea is silly, your kids are going to see it. He says Chachamim, and this is talking more so, dumb people like me. But even Chachamim, he says you have to be careful what you teach, because those people who follow you, who listen to your ideas, your children will hear those ideas, and they'll find it as an idea that they can't live with. And they'll drink the poisoned water. And they'll see it as a contradiction. And they're done. And they're gone. If you tell your kid, I love Torah, but what they see is that you really love money, they'll drink that poisoned water and they're gone. Right? If you tell your kid that, ethics are important, but what you do when you act is cheating. The guy who spends $12,000-$15,000 per kid per year to put him in day school, and then tells his kid, I want you to lie when we get to the gates of Disneyland and tell him that you're really 11 so I can sneak you in for free. So he saved $85, but he just threw away $70,000 because he just told his kid, right, when push comes to shove, lying is fine. When push comes to shove, cheating is fine. that, it's nice to learn halacha, but the halacha doesn't really apply. So you have to be careful with what are your words. What are you teaching your children? What do you teach? You hold yourself as a chacham, right? Even to your kids, you're a chacham. To your wife, you're a chacham. To the people in our outside society, you're a chacham, right? And they see you're the Torah person, right? To all your relatives, you're the Torah person. To the people you work with, you're the Torah person. And when you say things that are evil, that are bitter, that are destructive, I mean, again, how many people do you meet that are anti-religious, and they'll always refer it back to, I knew a guy who was such a jerk. I knew a person and he cheated hugely often. They can tie it back to a person who's essentially, to them, a chacham, who wasn't careful, who used evil, who used corruption. And he led them to a place of poisoned waters, and they drank, and they died, and God looked stupid, and Torah looked stupid, and we all looked stupid, and that was the end. So that's Avtalyon. Avtalyon says, Chachma, wisdom, knowledge of Torah, having a position as a Torah person creates an obligation and a responsibility to recognize that people are following you, they're listening to you, and you have not only the ability to be a Kiddush Hashem, but you have the ability to destroy everything. So that's Mishnah 11.